The next important pointer in line is about those customers who would be turning into loyal advocates or people who would be that form of engagement with you that they would be telling about your products to others. Like, if you would have guessed through from my training till now, I have been emphasizing on this through few of the e-commerce sites like Paytm and Amazon, and how good they are in terms of customer service, or the recent example of Amul, of how good a company is in terms of replying to their customer about any misled information which someone has passed through about the brand. So in terms of understanding the scale, here is a very important diagram which is going to explain you that how this quality scale of engagement happens from the end of your customer or your sale, in which how you can amplify that mechanism. And first, before idly going in the process of amplifying your followers or creating these kind of advocates, you need to understand this hierarchy, that who are going to be the set of people who would be falling in that particular bracket of doing through this mechanism. So at the lowest level, ideally the hugest set of people are one who would be aware or who would be interested to know about your product, or are just having a generic awareness about a product or service. To give you a very basic example of it, out of every one of us who may be hearing about this particular training, may be aware about what IIM or IIT, that is Indian Institute of Management or Indian Institute of Technology, is. But very few of us, or maybe none of us, may have idly engaged with that institute and done through a program from that kind of reputed institute. Or similarly, many of us may be aware about a brand like probably Mercedes and maybe Lamborghini, and may be aware about many locations like Tour de France, or maybe particular travel locations like Australia or New Zealand. But very few of us would have probably done the mechanism of engaging with the tourism company of France or Australia, or tourism mechanism of New Zealand and stuff. So the main point which I want to stress is having information or knowing about a product or having general awareness. There could be a big ton of plethora of people who are in that scenario, but there are a small number of them who ideally go to the further step of engaging with a particular product. Like many of the people who may have not even done purchase on Amazon may be knowing about what Amazon as a e-commerce website is. But from that, there would be a smaller chunk of them who would have engaged with that company, who would have gone ahead and tried to search for a product or service, probably found through that product or service, and then from that there would be again a smaller set of people who would have converted, means created an account on that company's website, gone ahead and done through the process of engaging through by buying a product, completing the process of purchase, and then using that particular product. So those are the people who have acted or who have converted. That's again the third level, which would be more lesser than the engaging level. And finally, there would be the advocates, a very small set of people from the complete subset who would be telling that how good this brand is to others. And here in this particular tutorial, our aim is to focus on these advocates, focus on these people who are going to tell about your product to others, who are going to engage about your product with others, and are at the highest level in this quality scale of engagement and would like to go ahead and advocate your brand. So Do not expect that each and everyone who would be your customer would be an advocator, but this is a generic scenario where maybe out of every 10, one could be an advocate of your brand, or out of every 5, one could be an advocate. This ratio could be varying highly depending from perspective to perspective, but definitely it would be a vice versa scenario where very few people know about your brand, but a lot of people are telling others about your brand. This kind of scenario cannot happen in a normal situation. It could happen in the situation of a particular kind of rap kind of scenario where, like, generally probably election happening in a smaller village or a town, or a kind of election happening in an institute, in an education society, where there are just people who are participating, not aware about why they are participating, but they are participating in a rap manner. So that's an awkward scenario apart. But then, to go forward and amplify your followers, here is one of the rule, ideally 4-1-1 rule, which is shown out here in respective of Twitter itself, but you could be following the same rule for other social media sites and even on any other sites where there is some talk or chat going about your product. So what this rule says is that if you are doing a tweet about your product or brand, means giving out them an offer or telling that how good your brand is, or they have received an award, or you are one of the best brands, etc., etc., in relation with one of these kind of tweets, you should be doing another relevant tweet about your product or service, which could be mostly about any basic information. It should not be definitely something related to promoting, maybe giving a 50% off offer or a free discount. It should not be that. It should be a very generic tweet giving just information, and together with that sharing 4 pieces of content which are shared by others. Maybe let's say if you are sharing something about digital marketing, you could be sharing 4 content, one from maybe the Google AdWords blog, another one from Google Analytics blog, another one from Facebook Insights, another one from maybe Instagram. So in this manner, if you are sharing the data about other products and services, you are in that case even again raising your own brand awareness, and also raising through the kind of advocacy about your own tweet in which you have given a promotion. So that's one of the way by which you can make sure that your loyal advocates, or the people who are there on these platforms like Twitter or Facebook, they even follow and do the same thing, that the tweet which you are giving, they are retweeting it to their followers, and again they are even retweeting your database tweets to your followers and telling more and more people about your brand. So that's one of the mechanism of amplifying through loyal advocates. The same mechanism could be followed through for even Facebook, wherein if you are posting across something, make sure that you are even sharing an informative post without any promotion or stuff, as well as you are going forward and sharing a basic set of data, maybe 3 to 4 posts which are not about your site or your product or service, but available on other websites, but available on other product sites, and you are sharing that as an informative post on your website indeed. So that's the method of creating or amplifying your followers and having loyal advocates on these kind of set of websites. The same mechanism can be used also on forums, or can be used also on discussions which you are doing through on other websites. Like you could be going forward and having one of your customers talk about your product on other websites where people are asking about some good reviews. Like there is a couple of famous discussion sites which you may be aware about, or if you are not aware, let me list down the same. Like there is Quora.com, in which people do generic discussion about something they want help. Similarly, there is discuss.com, which is in line with that, or there is Yahoo Answers, or there is website like Wiki Answers, in which people are answering many times even that organization is actively taking a part. But these are few forums which are related for generic talk, where also there could be people who are advocating your site, and these are some forums, or these are some sites which are very generic in relation to different set of sectors. There are even sector specific websites, like for tech sector there are sites like Stack Overflow, or there's site like GitHub which has forums onto it, or for women there is a famous website like Indus Ladies, or there is a CA related site like CA Club, or ICWA, which is related to accountants. So these all are other forums or discussion mechanisms where again you can have amplification happening about your product or service by someone else who is reputed in the industry, who has some kind of fan followers, or who has some kind of connections with him or her, and who is then suggesting your product or service, or giving a hint to others that this is what I have used, I have been successful with this product, and if you want you can check through the same yourself. So here is an amplification, here is an kind of advocacy which would be loyal to you, provided to you by your customers. So this is the mechanism about how you create loyal advocates. You can definitely check out all these sites which I have listed and see how people are not trying to go forward in a very plain sales kind of manner and pushing across that I have bought this product at 50% off, go forward and buy the same. That's not how these sites work. These sites are built across on the basic model of helping others through finding solutions, or giving answers and giving solutions for whatever question they are having, and asking them to work across on or comment through if they want any further help. So it's a kind of one-to-one help scenario, one-to-many help scenario, and from that getting loyal advocates for your product or service, or ideally loyal advocates going further and advocating your brand on these sites. The further set of pointer, which is about going forward and obtaining testimonials, or people who would like to speak or say something good about your product or service. Like to give you an example of the same, I have shown your few of the ratings and few of the text which the students have written in relation with Indeed training which I provide across, wherein they have rated through about how a particular product or program is, and then shared their feedback, ideally shared their testimonial about what is the training like was it easy to understand, what did provide some kind of additional knowledge, was the course covered in depth, and so on and so forth. And while this is an example which is shown in relation with training program, the same would be applying across to all other avenues as well. Like we are aware about all the famous e-commerce websites, right, from Amazon to Flipkart or Snapdeal or any one of them, who are having the rating mechanism available onto them for rating across the product which you want to offer through. And from that rating going forward, you are getting through the element happening through of people trusting across or telling through about what it is and how it is. So it could be good, it could be bad, but the main aim of this is if it is there, if you are providing that kind of service by being loyal across to your end users, they in turn are turning through and giving you a thumbs up. They in turn are coming back to you and saying that they are enjoying through the process which you are providing them, or the product or service which you are providing them, and finally it's a win-win kind of situation. To show you through some additional examples of the same, here is indeed a post which the students have created regarding the same, again thanking across the trainers. And this kind of data, or this kind of mechanism which is done through by students, it indeed helps in creating a in-depth and invariably nice set of connection with those set of students, and helps them to go ahead and recognize the person who is a trainer in this scenario. Similarly, for a product or service, it would be that particular product or service which is being recommended through by that person. So that's an important point, a very, very important point, that when you are going forward and thinking across of your customers to be loyal advocates of yours, or being a voice of mouth of yours out there going across in the market and telling across to other people, then you need to be honest across with your product, with it being meeting the expectations. We have seen the point regarding how we should be actually exceeding the customer expectations through various mechanisms in our previous tutorial. So if you are quite good at that element of exceeding the customer expectation, this kind of loyal advocacy would be flowing through in line. And out here, just an additional pointer, while this all pointer has been more on what you should be focusing on to get this, some elements which should be incorporated under this particular mechanism is that while people would be really interested, or maybe many a times liking, or are actually good at being involved with your product or service, it can be sometimes happening that they are not sharing across, or they are not outspoken the same in public. So a good way for doing is that we have already seen the use of email marketing and the methodology of emails to be used through. So even for collection of feedback or testimonial, you could be sending across a friendly email asking them for reviewing the product or service, or asking them for providing a testimonial which you can include, so on and so forth. And similarly, if email is available as the mechanism, you can do it that way. Otherwise, you could be even using your social media mechanism in the form of maybe your Facebook fan page, or maybe your Twitter handle, to go across and ask your loyal customers or people to just, maybe you can share a link, where they can go forward and put in their feedback or put through their ratings, and those ratings could be then available through, like, just to give you an example, while this can be done for taking a rating in a third party scenario, or can be done for incorporating on your website page, if indeed you have created a Facebook page which is indeed falling under the local places, or it's a kind of local Facebook page, then in that scenario you even have that option within Facebook to get a review about your product or service through Facebook itself. So that's a great mechanism which can help you generate a lot of loyalty and help you generate through people who would be interested across in your product or service. So first thing is that you create a masterclass product. The second element in it is that if there is many a times a mechanism required to go forward and ask for it, then you should be open to blankly or bluntly even request across the set of your users to please share this or please update you with a rating, and you need to be honest enough in your content by saying that you want to improve your product and you want to make sure that you are having, or you need to make sure that your product is something which is in line or is ideally at a par level wherein it is serving the end users as per their requirement or as per their particular set of expectations. So that kind of a simple email or simple update as a post on your Facebook page or even a Twitter handle, or even just by reaching across by keeping a kind of a short form on your website in the form of a pop-up or in the form of a particular hidden box as a feedback box or a feedback form. Those ways could also be used additionally by having it across integrated on your website. So these all are mechanisms by which you can be collecting a loyal set of feedback from your users and helping to create loyal advocates of your products. And then once it is collected across, you have the ability to showcase the same to other set of users. Means if there is even one rating by just one of the users, it acts through as a kind of news for you for around 10 or hundreds of other users. So more the ratings are, definitely more it is useful, but even a couple of them are good enough to be a showcase point to all your different set of users, and in turn that would help you to get the required chain of your sales and your lead cycle happening a lot better. The next concept in relation with the same is about obtaining referrals. What happens through is that whenever we are going forward and doing an activity, and when our customer is satisfied with the same, there is always a possibility of him or her helping us through, or if we ask across, then they could be providing us through with referrals. Because a generic kind of scenario to explain you through in this, two scenarios which I would like to explain, that if we want to divide the people which are there on this earth through one simple mechanism, then we can divide it into two set of people. One is whom we know and another one is whom we don't know. So herein, when we are going forward with the mechanism of obtaining referral, we are focusing on the circle of whom we know, and from there we are trying to connect with others whom they are knowing. Means you may not be directly knowing your customer's relative or your customer's friend, but your customer is indeed aware or knows through about his relative or his friend, and there is a kind of advocacy which is always there. If your product is liked by them, so they go forward and use through, or they go forward and accept the recommendation which may be given through. So this kind of scenario can help us in creating loyal advocacy, because someone else is telling about our brand to others. Because we have already seen in one of our previous presentation that when he or she is a teller of, or a person who is praising across our brand or product, he or she is ideally in that particular mechanism where we can indeed have him or her as a loyal advocate. So that's the point indeed about going ahead and connecting with your set of person. So the main thing which I want to focus through is that this activity is something to be initiated from your end. Like you initiate the activity of asking for a review or asking for a particular rating for your product or service and asking for a feedback. Similarly, you can politely, as a part of your business, ask across for referrals as well. Just to connect through this with one more example which I want to share through is that when we are going ahead and looking forward at a product or service, or even in a simpler day-to-day life scenario, when we are stuck across with some particular difficulty and not having a solution for the same, which could be as small as maybe not being able to start across our slower PC, or on the way while we are searching for a location not being able to get through or find that location, or maybe something as small as looking for insurance and taking advice from our friends or colleagues about which life insurance is something which one should be going forward with. So these kind of smaller entities are always going to be a part and parcel of our set of day-to-day life, and therein, as your friend or someone relative could be acting a guide to someone else, you need to make sure that your product or service is in her or his mind, and when he or she is acting as a guide, acting as a loyal advocate guide, helping someone else with a solution, your product or service is the part and parcel of that solution, and the solution is workable basis your products or services. So you need to find through those kind of entities and even explain through to your client or customer about this mechanism, that how your product is also a kind of a solution, and it's not just something plain, and you need to give them those kind of case studies or scenarios where it has helped through people in a particular difficulty based mechanism or difficulty based situation, and help them to get a round way out of the same. So that is wherein referring will come in picture. It will be coming through. And one more thing is, when it happens through in multiple steps, like one of your customer is an office employee and there are near around other 10 to 20 employees with whom he discusses his day-to-day regular set of work activities. So one person from your end as a customer is acting a piece of marketing for you by connecting with 20, 30, 50 or even more than those number of people, and from them you can go ahead and ask him or her to give you the contact details of some of them. So that's something important as a nice business activity to actually give you a point of truth, majorly in many sectors, specifically like training, specifically like consulting, specifically like service area. It has been seen that the number of people one gets from referrals in business, it doesn't happen very quickly, but generally 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, once you have had a good number of customers, past that, the number of repeat customers, ideally new set of customers coming through from your previous customers with the help of referrals is almost 20-30% or more than that. Means you need not worry through about 30-40% of your revenue targets, which will be coming through referrals past a time frame of probably few months once you have established your brand and your product or service. And finally, the last pointer in relation with it, many times to get this referral based mechanism in a better manner, you could also be creating a kind of an offer wherein whoever is your current set of customer, if they are providing you some number of people, some good number of referrals who actually go ahead and buy your product or service, then you can even offer a good amount of incentive or a reasonable incentive to your current customer, so as he would also be having an extra hand income, because anyone would definitely like to give across names only if they are receiving some good returns on the same. So that kind of major revenue which you would be building through sales, from that you can push across a part of it as a loyal kind of income for your customer, or a second-hand income for him or her, basis if they are looking for something like that. And that will help you obtain referrals. It will help you even obtain good number of referrals, and it will also help you boost your sales while you would be just giving up a part of it for getting through those referrals. So this kind of incentive based modeling, wherein you provide some amount of monetary value which you can decide through with your customers, and then get through a good amount of results from the same, or then ideally get through on higher sales happening for your product or service. So that's the important point in relation with creation of loyal advocates.